Right, let's crack on then. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about the delay. So there was a technical glitch. We were apparently logged into the wrong. There's no audio. Okay, just bear with me 1 second. I think the audio. Simon, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine. Yes.
Can anybody else hear me? Can you just confirm if everybody else can hear me, please? Couldn't see the screen. I could hear you speaking in terms of audio.
Yes, I can hear you.
Right, that's fantastic. Thanks for confirmation. So that you might hear some banging noise. Apparently, we have some joiner doing some work. So apologies for all these things going wrong today for some reason. So I'm just going to crack on straight away. Welcome to ProVu webinar on PBX Xact. Today we're gonna be talking about PBX Xact system. We're going to also talk about the add-ons which comes with PBX and the optional add-ons available, and why Sangoma have come up with this whole solution around PBXs and phones. So we will talk about it in few seconds. So just to give you a brief agenda for today. So what we're going to talk about today is obviously give you a brief introduction about Sangoma if you guys are not aware of Sangoma, why Sangoma came up with this PBX system in the first place. Obviously we will also explain some of the key features selling features for the PBX Xact system along with add-ons which are available for it. We'll also give you a brief introduction about the lineups or different models available from the range, and finally we'll end up with some support information, how you get support, what is included in support sort of thing, and also technical training available for the PBX Xact system, followed by summary and a QA and quick QA and question answer sessions. So I'll just pass it on to Simon, who will do a bit of introduction on Sangoma, and we'll take it from there. Over to you, Simon.
Lovely, thanks, Mo. So just in case people out there don't know who I am, so my name's Simon Horton. I run sales for Sangoma in UK and Ireland and various other parts of Western and Northern Europe. I'm going to skip through this section fairly quickly. We'll try and make up a little bit of time here. So we're Sangoma. We're about 100 people strong. We are on the equivalent of the Toronto Venture Exchange, which is the equivalent of the AIM on the London Stock Exchange, for those people who know what that is. So if you're really bored, you can go see all of our company figures and all that kind of stuff. We, unlike some of the other people in our industry, we're very profitable. We are cash rich, debt free, which puts us in a unique position. We're still growing, through a mixture of acquisitions and organic growth. We sell primarily through distributors, of which of course ProVu here are one, and we must pause here and just realize that ProVu, I think, have still got more technical people than salespeople. Mo, I think that's still right.
Yeah, it's still we've got about 6 tech support guys working. Which is
awesome, right? So ProVu can take and add the service wrap around all the products we're going to talk about today. So if we move down one slide, oops, I think we both moved to there. Mo.
It's all right.
Go up one. So Sangoma is probably most famous in the loosest sense of the word for the telephony boards you can see on the left-hand side. So we grew to a reasonable size through the kind of noughties by selling these telephony boards, and effectively what they do is terminate things like E1, T1, BRI, analog into PCs or servers. So if you wanted to build yourself an asterisk appliance and terminate telephony on it, you go to Sangoma, you get a board, you put it inside your server, and hey ho, there you've got a full PBX. So you can see even way back in 2010 we were fully in this open source space. I think we were the first people to create boards that work with asterisk, for instance. Then through the early part, 2010 through to kind of this or last year, we built out our portfolio. So instead of the piecemeal boards that you see on the left-hand side, we came up with analog gateways, digital gateways through the acquisition of a company called VegaStream. We brought session border controllers to market for SIP-to-SIP calls, and we launched larger scale SS7 gateways for carrier interconnects. Now, it really starts to get exciting, you know, kind of January 2015. This is when we made the acquisition of a company called Schmooze, which is a horrible name, but Schmooze were the proprietors of this FreePBX open source asterisk-based PBX, right? So we've taken FreePBX, we're being very careful, diligent stewards of FreePBX, and around that we've created some other areas of portfolio. So we've added PBXact, which is commercial PBX, which is what we're going to talk about today. We sell this in software and hardware forms, and then to complete the portfolio earlier this year, we launched a range of IP phones. So now we have everything. Instead of 5-6 years ago, the only part of this solution we could sell was a small PCI or PCI Express board that goes in a server. Now we can sell the entire solution, and we'll see that, I think, in a couple of slides. You may be saying, well, why did Sangoma acquire FreePBX? Well, we wanted it, right? As I said, we now can sell the entire solution. You know, we've been in open source for 15 odd years, and it made complete sense for us to acquire FreePBX. We have no intention of closed sourcing FreePBX. We've seen other commercial larger corporations buy open source telephony projects and ruin it, frankly, by closed sourcing it, by trying to make it too commercial. We're very aware of this. We're very aware of the responsibility this brings, and we will carry on. There's no agenda at all to kind of change the way that FreePBX is distributed today. We have a team of 12 or 13 people, all working full-time on the features for FreePBX. We have no intention whatsoever of changing any of that. So today, our PBX lineup here in the UK really consists of these kind of 3 silos or buckets. So on the left-hand side is the kind of FreePBX downloads. And we must just think the numbers here for FreePBX are quite mind-blowing. Actually, we have something like 2 million activations, not just downloads, but activations. People that have actually turned on and installed FreePBX. 2 million of those around the world, right? And we about 400 per day are downloaded. So this is a huge industry that we've created around this. And you know, there's various ways that we can all make money out of FreePBX. You can have software add-ons. You can add hardware through phones, through cards, through gateways. So there's still ways of monetizing FreePBX. But for those people, no, you might want to go on mute. Actually, that is a noisy old hammering in the background. In the moving one kind of slot to the right, instead of taking the ISO downloaded directly from our website, you can also buy that ISO on an appliance, right? So we take the same ISO, we load it onto a telco grade hardware appliance, and we sell that. And again, you can put our boards inside that to give PSTN connectivity. You can take our phones, you can take commercial modules. What you must remember with FreePBX is it's kind of best effort support. So there's no kind of commercial support wrap around FreePBX. In order to get that whole commercially supported wrap, you know, I want 24/7 support, I want full hardware support, I want advanced replacements, you know, all these standard options that you would get from any industry operating in the telecom space. You have to go to PBXact UC, and this is where we're going to spend the rest of our 20 or 30 minutes together here today. So PBXact UC is a full commercially supported on-premise PBX system. So here, instead of us just supporting the telephony part, we support the whole stack from hardware through operating system, right through the PBX through to the kind of end user experience. And of course, you can still add our phones, our hardware to PBXact UC. So why did we launch PBXact in the first place? It's a lot about choice, right? There are a certain segment of the market that don't like the name FreePBX. People say to me often, hey, I can't sell something that says free on the label. Now, my colleagues in North America would have us believe that the free in FreePBX is for freedom, not for free of charge. But that smells a bit funny, doesn't it? Really. So PBXact is designed to flow through channels like ProVu. Instead of having to log on to a portal with a credit card to buy something, you can raise a PO for portal through ProVu. You can get terms, all that good stuff, right? There's lots of margin for resellers. It's designed to flow through the channels, and as we said before, there's good level of annual support options to choose from. Just to go back a couple of slides, I guess, and talk about, or back a couple of sections and talk about ecosystem. So this plays back to the point of Sangoma having a full solution for PBXs, right? So if you take your PBX appliance in the middle, at the top right, of course, we have our new range of IP phones, which we'll talk about to go on desktops. Moving around a kind of clockwise direction, every office has some kind of analog lines, whether that's door entry, whether it's lift phones, fax machines, franking machines, modems. There's all kinds of stuff out there. Maybe analog lines in a warehouse that are too far to run Cat5 cable. In that case, an analog gateway, or what we would call an FXS gateway, applies or gives dial tone to those phones. So we have a range of that. If you need to bring in intercom, paging, door entry, these solutions are available. Moving around to the kind of 9 o'clock position, if you want to bring PSTN connectivity in, you basically have a choice of 3 different ways to do that, and you can buy all of these different ways from Sangoma. The first one would be via a SIP trunk from a SIP trunking provider. In that case, we would typically recommend you put an SBC, a session border controller, in there, which allows the seamless integration, fixes security problems, helps prevent toll fraud, all that good stuff. The other advantage of the SBC is it allows remote workers to come in. If you decide, hey, I don't want a SIP trunk, but I prefer to have my legacy PSTN connection, maybe it's hard to move the numbers, maybe you're tied into a contract with that ISDN provider, maybe you only want to bring inbound numbers in through those PSTN connections, then using E1 or ISDN PRI or BRI or 2P plus D or analog connections, then you can either use a standalone gateway, a Vega gateway, a VoIP gateway outside the appliance, or if you prefer, you can take a PCI Express board from Sangoma. You remember the ones we've been developing for the last 15 years or so, and you can put that right inside the appliance and have everything in one box. And there's advantages and disadvantages of using gateways versus using cards, and please come talk to Mo or myself about what those are, and we can help you make the best decision for your own business.
That's
so
great,
I
Simon.
Think, Mo, you were going to talk a little bit about the key selling features, right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Right. So just to, as Simon explained, obviously, the whole idea is obviously putting something in a channel rather than having a free PBX solution, which is open source and easy to free to download anyways. So the main key features is what they have done with PBX Xact is, I don't know if you guys have experience with FreePBX, but once you download it and install, it is a bit of a nightmare to find where you would create extensions, where would you put IVRs, where would you put call routings and plans and outbound plans and inbound plans and everything. So it is quite a complicated system because obviously it's free, open source, and it has been developed over the last 5-10 years. It's got a lot of information in there which is sometimes difficult to absorb. So what PBX Xact system has done is basically combine all those different options, complicated stuff, and put it into a nice and easy to read web interface. So when you log into the PBX Xact, and we will talk through some of the, I'll show you some of the snapshots from the GUI for the PBX Xact. You can see there's only very minimal information on the web interface. Obviously, there's an advanced version as well, which allows you to do all the extra bits and pieces. But they've simplified the whole information for people who have no knowledge of PBX to just create an create a PBX in minimal time. Again, as I said, it's simplified. The web GUI, you don't need any SIP Linux knowledge to install and configure these systems, because again it's user friendly. The setup wizard may mostly set up the system fairly quickly for you, and again I'll show you in a minute as well. And again, it's a fully featured UC platform. So what it means is it's got instant messaging, it's got voicemail to email, it's got extensions, call group, ring group, page groups, whatever you would expect from a PBX, it is there. Obviously, some of the add-ons are paid for, but as a standard PBX, all the basic functionalities are available in the PBX. And again, it is based on the most popular PBX in the world, which is FreePBX, as obviously Simon suggested. And the main reason, the main benefit of that is it is rock solid. The main purpose, it's been so open source for almost 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, Simon, but it has gone through, it's gone through a lot of adoption, a lot of stress testing, and obviously if there's a problem, if there's a bug in the system, it goes through the online tracking system and it gets fixed fairly quickly for everyone. So this configuration wizard, the aim for Sangoma PBX system is you should be able, or any simple person with a basic IT knowledge should be able to set up the system, a 10-user system in 10 minutes, and it's basically fully featured, ready to go. At the moment, you can't configure SIP trunks from the basic configuration wizard, but eventually that will be added to the system as well. So the internal system should be able to set up fairly quickly, which includes system settings, Sangoma Phones provisioning, Sangoma Phones app, extension range, extension details, inbound call routes. Inbound call routes is the most common one. And if you have an obviously IVR or an auto attendance system, you can set it up fairly quickly as well. And it's a drag and drop rather than uploading, doing also bits and pieces. It's fairly user friendly. So if you have a recording, you drag it on the web interface, and that's your IVR recording ready. And then all you have to do is configure it. So to say, if it says 1 for support, 2 for sales, and vice versa, you can just do it from the web interface. Fax setup is there as well, and then all you have to do is obviously set up the fax. If you have a fax setup already. So when you log in the first time on PBXact system, that is the basic overview of the dashboard. So as you can see extensions, IVR, inbound routes, music on hold as well, so you can have or upload your own music on hold, ring groups, time conditions, and you can restart the wizard as well if there's a problem. Advanced modes take you to the advanced configuration, which basically means to configure the SIP trunks event at this stage of time, you have to go to advanced mode and configure SIP trunks. But again, it is pretty much straightforward anyways, and we obviously at ProVu we offer full support for the system, and if there's a problem, obviously we are backed by Sangoma as well. But again, for basic configuration, remote installation support, ProVu have a dedicated team which can help you with the configuration. So with PBXact system, obviously, why would you buy PBXact system? Is the main feature. But generally, with FreePBX, what you buy is a basic PBX system which is ready to go, but to add on all these extra features you have to buy or start paying a bit more towards add-ons, so you have to purchase all these add-ons. But with PBXact system, all these add-ons you can see on the list, which is call recording reports. So obviously call recording is one of the main feature which is enabled by default on PBXact, and to view the recording in a nicer way, I'll create reports or generate reports. This you call recording report, which is an add-on for PBX, is included. So you go onto the call recording page, click on filter by caller ID, called ID, extension number, all those basic features. You click on them, and then you can download or download recording, view recording, listen to recording from the web interface. All these features are available. Class of service, I'm not going to go in more details on each add-on. We will cover them later on in a different. We also have another webinar next week as well. So if you do want to know a bit more about these add-ons, you can join us as well. But class of service is a day-night timer on the system. So if you have a class of service where, class of service is different, sorry, I got confused with system timer. So class of service is basically if you want to enable certain extensions to dial certain numbers, but other extensions can't dial like international numbers or premium numbers. You can set up class of service, say premium or premium numbers, international numbers, and vice versa, and you can allocate those classes to each individual extension or a group of extension depending on how you want to do. Conference Pro is again conference. You can set up a conference room on the go. Extension based routing again is a routing, specific routing based on extension numbers. Fax Pro, again an add-on which is free. XMPP Pro is used for instant messaging. So if you would like a UC experience, which is what Sangoma PBX Xact is trying to do, is you can have, if you have an instant messaging add-on, or sorry, not instant messaging client, then you can basically integrate instant messaging and VoIP all in one package. We do sell something called Briastato, which is like a software client, and which allows you to include, add VoIP as well as instant messaging under one package. So it might be something you might want to look at a later stage as well. But if you don't want to integrate both these things together, you can download any standard XMPP client, which will allow you to exchange messages, instant messages between your users as well. System Admin Pro, Park Pro, Voicemail Notify, Page Pro, all these things are add-ons, and as I said, I'm not going to go in more details because they will be covered later on. So Sangoma Phones. So one of the main reasons we have taken on board Sangoma PBX Xact and Sangoma Phones is because they integrate quite nicely together. The best, to get the best feature and best experience out of the PBX Xact, Sangoma recommends, or we recommend, to use Sangoma Phones. They are at the moment 3 different models. The main benefits, are as listed. So there's all these support zero-touch provisioning. Basically, what it means is you plug it into a network. It goes to the Sangoma redirection server. From the redirection server, you can redirect them to your PBXs. Most of it is automated. So once you've logged into Schmooze portal to register your PBX, all you have to do is upload all the MAC addresses and tell the redirection server to go to your local PBX, and that's about it. Once the phone contacted your server, it's basically ready to go, really. Phone apps are built in. Phone apps is, again, we will talk about a bit more in shortly. But that just what it can do for people is, or end users, is basically it allows them to control their day-to-day features in a more user-friendly way. VPN support is obviously available for all remote users, so or whether it's the entry-level handset or whether it's executive class, every phone supports built-in VPN client, and it integrates quite nicely with the Sangoma PBX system.
The coolest thing about the VPN is, of course, you can piggyback if you have a Soho user, so a user at home, you can use the VPN built into the phone to also allow a VPN on your laptop as well, right? So your laptop can piggyback on the VPN that's in the phone to back into the mothership, the HQ. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to have a separate VPN client on your laptop or a VPN-enabled router, right? So that's a pretty nice feature.
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks for raising it with me. And all these phones obviously supports Power over Ethernet, so you can plug into a network, standard network switch, and they are good to go. All phones, as a standard, supports dual gigabit Ethernet pass-through ports. So obviously the idea is you connect with the WAN port or the main port, PC port, WAN port to the router. The other port goes to your computer, and you have obviously gigabit pass-through as well. So you don't actually need to run multiple cables to your computer and the phones. You can just run one cable from your router or PoE switch to the phone, and then use the switch port on the back of the phone to piggyback the, as some suggest, VPN or standard phone. Now obviously the idea is Sangoma Phones works best with PBX Xact, but if you do want to use existing standard phones, then those phones can be used with PBX Xact system. Is just the title integration won't be there. The PBX Xact system is open to any phone standard SIP, so any standard SIP phone, so it will work. But to get the best out of the system, we recommend Sangoma Phones anyways. So phone apps is one of the features, one of the coolest features of the PBX Xact system. So what it means basically is when you connect the Sangoma phone to the PBX system, what it does is it configures all these side keys. You know, some people call them BLF keys, some people call them line keys. So all these and S500 and S700 system, which has more keys, you can configure those keys to do all these fancy features, which is basically you can log in, log out, which is mainly used in call centers, but it could also be used for people, you know, on the go. So it's one of the main features is the log on, log in, log out, which is quite cool. What the way it works is you put a phone in on the desk, maybe one in London, one in Manchester, and people go onto the desk, log in with the extension number and the password, and without rebooting, it downloads all the configuration. Which is basically SIB details securely from the PBX, and you've got a system up and running without any reboot, and it works over the fly, which is really cool to see. And we will discuss that later on. We'll try and explain some demos, something for next week webinar. Follow me is more like a call forwarding feature. So if you want to follow your extension, you can follow your extension. So what it means is you have one extension at office, one extension maybe in different office. You can basically set up a follow me, so it rings in a hunt group scenario to your office, you know, company address 1, and then it falls over to another phone, and you can also fade over to third and fourth phone, and vice versa. So all the idea is, in the past, people you used to call the IT administrators to all set up all these features, but now what they've done is it gives from the phone itself, you can set up all these features, and it's pretty much interactive for the end user, because it just says when they press the button, it says something in English, says do this, so it explains all these features in a very user-friendly way. Call queues, again, it's more to do with call queues. Visual voicemail is another quite nice feature again with generally standard voicemail systems or standard PBX system. With voicemail, what you have to do is dial a code or press a button, enter your PIN code and all sorts of stuff. But with visual voicemail, everything is written in plain English. All you have to do is only have to pick up the phone once you've gone to do what you want to do, which is listen to your voicemail, delete a voicemail, or record a new voicemail greeting. So it's really interactive for end users. Obviously, you can call parks, you can create your own conferences, you can listen to conferences, you join conferencing, you can ring, create a ring group based on time conditions. So if certain time you're in Office 1 and certain times you may be on your mobile or something like that, you can create your own time conditions as well. You don't have to use all these features. You can obviously disable the features from the web interface to say only these customers are specific for, you can use this as a special add-ons or phone apps. So again, we will talk about it next week in more detail about each add-on and what it can do or offer to the customer or end user. A user control panel. So I mean, what Sangoma, what they have done quite nicely is to give control to the end user. So the PBXact have this user control panel for end users. So each extension could potentially have a login to a special web interface link on the PBX. So what it means is they can control and customize their own extension. And it is powered by the WebRTC, which is obviously quite new. Well, it's not really new, but it is a sort of new technology implementation for the system. And what it allows you to do is, without having to install any softphone clients, you can basically start and make calls from the web interface, as long as obviously it supports WebRTC, and Firefox and Chrome does support that feature. What it does is you log in as an extension, you can view your call history, you can set up call conferencing, you can have your own contacts, shared contacts, which is, you can obviously, instead of managing it from the phone, you can manage it actually from the contact, from the web interface. Device Manager is another very nice feature. What it means is you can manage mainly your Sangoma phones from the web interface. If you want to configure like PLS or change keys, you can do that from the web interface on the go, on the fly. Again, you can listen to your call recording, you can manage your presence, program your soft keys as I said, and you can also listen to your voice recordings as well. Now again, some of the features obviously you can manage, you can allocate. These are all customizable, most of it, and what you can do is you can manage access to users or user control panel per user spaces. And so it is quite a powerful tool. And again, as I said, the idea being is pass most control to the end user so they control their extension rather than having to rely on IT guys to do all these changes for them. And it works quite well for the system. WebRTC phone, as I said, is the idea is you log into a web browser and without having to install any third-party add-ons or anything like that, you can control, you can make calls, you can receive calls from a web browser. And use it like a standard phone, right? So it's a very basic phone. Obviously, you can't do BLS and all sorts of extra features because it's obviously based on WebRTC. But to receive and make calls, it works really, really well for it. Voicemail, obviously, you can listen to your voicemail, private conference rooms, as I said, and you can chat and send SMS from your phone, outside phone as well. Chat is obviously using XMPP. So if you do just want everything all in one go, then obviously log into the web user control panel, video extension details, and all these features are by default there, and it's pretty much straightforward to set them up as well. Instant messaging and video calling. Again, video is a standard feature on these PBXact systems. So as long as you have a supported endpoint, then video, you can have a two-way video call or conference call as well among the system. Some of the supported clients are XLite, Bria Strato, which is a provisionable version of Bria 4, Linphone, Pigeon is used, which is again open source client. It is used for instant messaging only, but effectively any standard SIP client will work with Sangoma PBXact as well. Integrated voicemail, it's a sort of a big thing, and generally we generally laugh at it, but it's because it's most of the it is available in most of systems. It's just Sangoma has done it in a quite nicer, fancier way, I would call it. It is obviously it's a powerful voicemail application which allows you to keep in touch with your callers. So basically what it means is you can control voicemail in quite a few different ways. You can create reports, or the administrator to be effect can create reports and monitor messages from a centralized obviously from the web browser, and he or she can also listen to the voicemail greetings as well, which is obviously it is a feature. I don't see that being used very often, but it is there if you want to do that. But again, the other option is if the administrator see certain person has so many voicemails, or maybe it's a group voicemail, then they can obviously tell people that you need to start listening, your team needs to start listening to these voicemails, because some of them could be sales, some of them could be tech support, and vice versa. And again, every individual person can manage their own integrated voicemail from UCP or from the phone apps if you're using Sangoma Phones. Mobile and remote users. So this is one of the feature which obviously it is associated with the security of the system, and sometimes obviously people have to open some ports. Being a SIP, a PBX, obviously it is prone to attacks. But what Sangoma have done quite nicely is, well, for remote users or for mobile users, you don't have to do anything really. What you do is basically use the VPN functionalities on the PBX to secure the system. So when you're obviously using VPN, you can install the VPN client on customer premises or custom computer, for example, and then everything is communicated in an encrypted manner over VPN client. And obviously, as Simon rightly suggested earlier, that you can also use the VPN feature on the PBX to share or connect to your corporate network. So it's a very useful feature to have. At the moment, for mobile clients, Sangoma don't have any applications, but again, as being open source solution, it will work with most of open source third-party SIP clients. Again, Bria is the one we recommend because it allows you to have instant messaging and voice under one hood. But again, if you don't want instant messaging on the go, potentially you can use any other software client of your own recommendation as well. Again, the whole idea of remote users, it's built on security in mind, so you don't have to worry about security on the SIP side or brutal hack attacks onto the PBXs. And again, as I said, with the Follow Me feature, a user can choose to forward calls to their mobile phones or relevant or related extensions if they have more than one immediately or after number of rings. So it's again quite a very useful feature. There is just on the same side of security while we're talking about it, there's a built-in feed security or built-in firewall on these PBXs, which is quite strict or quite secure anyways. But if you prefer to have your own firewall, we recommend it anyways. Or if you want just to secure, for some reason, if you do have to put the PBX on public-facing IP address, we strongly recommend to put an SBC on public-facing site rather than putting the PBX on site, unless obviously you can limit them by IP address. Again, the Sangoma PBX does have a very good firewall in place as well, but to be on the safer side, it is an IP firewall. It's not a SIP specific firewall, so we would recommend to have an SBC upfront to give as much protection to the PBX as you can. So in terms of management, finally, I think this is the final slide. So in terms of management, the whole idea is you can securely administer the PBX from any browser. HTTPS, obviously, you can upload your own certificates. Every configuration, all the configuration for the PBX is done from the web GUI, which basically means you could be anywhere in the world as long as you have the right access details for the PBX. You can log in, again, IT-related stuff. You can log in and configure the system. You can create multiple users with individual right access. So maybe one user can have admin. One user could be an administrator who can do all other bits, everything on the PBX. Maybe there you have another user who can only manage code recordings. Maybe you have another one who can manage only SIP trunks. So you can create different levels of user rights within the PBX to give right people the right level of access. Backups, again, it's all web browsable, so you create a backup, you can download a backup, and you can obviously do all sorts as well. And you can also schedule regular backups just in case. And if you do want to download it onto a local computer, again, everything is there as well. Sound prompts, voicemail, email, call recording. Billing is obviously not a built-in feature, but Sangoma PBX does work with most of the billing providers available in the market. So if you do have a requirement for billing, please come and speak to me either or Simon Horton, and we will direct you into the right place. Voicemail, again, is a standard feature. And system admins can check their number of voicemails in the system, and obviously they can ask relevant people to do that as well. So, and user can control their VMs through voicemails through the UCP or from the phone, depending on that. So I'll now pass it on to Simon, who will talk about PBX Xact license options available from us or from Sangoma. Over to you, Simon.
Lovely, thanks Mo. So there are 5 or 6 license options or add-ons for PBXact. And as we step through these, we'll talk a little bit about how they are priced and costed. So the first one is third-party device support. So as we said, if you use a Sangoma IP phone, there's never any need to buy any extra add-ons. So we include what we call Endpoint Manager, which allows easy deployment and management of phones. If you want to use Endpoint Manager for these, the 20 manufacturers listed there and the 300 odd devices that those manufacturers make, then you need to buy third-party device support. And what third-party device support lights up for you on PBXact UC is Endpoint Manager for the deployment, for the management, and also for those phones that support it, the phone apps. So we never prohibit you from registering any SIP endpoint to FreePBX or PBXact. So you can take any old SIP endpoint, you can register it. That's not what this third-party device support is. So any IP phone can be PBXact, but you just can't manage it through Endpoint Manager. You can't make use of the phone apps on them without this third-party device support. And there's a great big long list of all of these devices on our technical support website at Sangoma. High availability is a great one, right? This is pretty unique in the industry at this kind of price point and density, right? So HJ, as the name suggests, means that you take 2 identical hardware appliances and you put them in HA mode. So you would typically put a dedicated gigabit Ethernet cable between the two devices, which would allow the syncing up, the heartbeat to go between them. And once you've done that, then the master, you only have to configure the configuration on one unit, and that will share all of its configuration to the slave. Then there's they decide amongst themselves on a virtual IP address or a floating IP address, which would, which would typically be associated with the master unit. If that master unit goes down because the power's pulled or it has a catastrophic failure, then the slave unit takes up the reins, as it were. Any active calls will drop, but new calls will go through the new slave unit, and it's just a perfect HA, right? Because we use a floating IP address, you don't need to reconnect anything else on site. So your gateways, your SBCs, phones, they all just register to the floating IP address, and we take care of everything else in the HA. License. In terms of how you buy this, HA is priced as a percentage of the cost of the unit. You do need to buy 2 identical units, and you need an HA license for each of those units. You need 2 HA licenses to make this work. Oh, I did forget to say, back up on the third-party device support, this is also priced as a percentage of the cost of the unit. And it's not that much, actually. It's sort of in the $100, £100 bracket, right? So we don't penalise you massively for using other people's phones. The call center add-on, this is allows you to run a basic outbound campaigns, as well as giving you a bit more control over your inbound calls. So, we're not trying to be a competitor with Genesis or Interactive Intelligence here, but maybe if you're you're a seasonal seller, you're trying to sell Christmas trees, you want to make a bunch of outbound calls, you're getting a lot of inbound seasonal calls, you want to see some more metrics about queuing, you want to see detailed analytics, then the call center add-on might work for you. And again, this one, similar to the other 2, is priced as a percentage of the appliance price here. And desktop integration, this is a nice one, right? This is, we also call it Zulu. And the 2 main things Zulu brings for you is click-to-calls. So this enables you to, in Outlook or in Chrome or Google, any phone numbers that appear in any of those applications will actually turn into a URL. So what you do, you click on that URL, you click on the phone number, and it will tell the PBX to go make that call for you. So instead of having to manually type on your phone, you just click. URL pop is the other useful thing here. So when a call comes in, we can interrogate that caller ID, whoever's making the call, and we can pop up some information based on that caller. So let's say the caller had previously been on a website looking at some items on the website. We could pop up for the calling agent what they've been looking at, or their trouble tickets or anything like that. You can also, if you've got the right kind of SIP trunk, you can also send SMSs, text and faxes with Zulu or desktop integration as well. This is priced a little bit differently. This is priced per block of 20 users. So for every 20 users you want to allow to use Zulu, you need to pay us a license fee. And the last one here is XactView. This is an operator panel. So instead of the expansion ports that you can put on the side of Sangoma Phones, if the receptionist doesn't want that, they want a software version, then XactView is the option here. So you browse to a special IP address hosted on the PBX, and you can visually drag and drop calls. Used to do transfers. You can see call presence. You can see whether people are busy. You can monitor. You can record. You can do conferencing, bridging. The works, right? This is XactView. With key reporting, just to drill in a little bit more detail, this is an extra add-on to. So with XactView, you can monitor multiple different queues in your system. You can monitor multiple PBXs. And if you do XactView queue reporting, then you can look at more information on which agent is most busy, who has the best response time, who's paused, that kind of thing, right? Okay, Mo, you're going to talk about product lineup?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Simon. Right, so just to give you a brief idea about the product lines or the models, different models available from Sangoma. So at the moment there are 5 different models, and you can all see those models in front of you. So it starts off with UC10, which is an entry level pure IP PBX, so it allows you to have 10 users or 10 extensions, 5 concurrent calls. It does have obviously 3 gigabit pass, Ethernet ports, HDMI port, small. It's quite a small sector. It's a desktop sort of unit. For PSTN connectivity, obviously, you will need a gateway to interconnect with PSTN, but obviously if it's only SIP, then that probably works quite well for you. Then moving on from UC10, you have to jump a bit higher, which is UC60. Again, every model have the name which tells you how many users you can have, so it's an actual 1 rack mountable appliance. It's got 60 users, and it gives you 30 concurrent calls. All these appliances are based on SSD drives, which are commercially approved SSD drives. The UC60 does have 3 gigabit Ethernet ports, but it also gives you 2 into PCI Express ports, which allows you to have, if you do prefer built-in cards, like all Sangoma cards are approved and compatible with these appliances. So if you do need something like an ISIN30 card, FXO card, FXS card, or any card that you probably want, you can basically put maximum of 2 cards in these in UC60, and the number follows really. So if you go to UC100, again, it's a bit more powerful system. It allows you to have 100 users, 30 concurrent calls. Again, the form factor is the same as the UC10. But it does have 5 gigabit Ethernet pass-through ports, Ethernet ports, and 2 PCI Express card. Again, the pricing you see is all retail prices, so you can see they are quite economical for the number of users you can look at, and obviously trade pricing, you get better pricing, obviously discounts on the PBXs anyways. UC300 is again 300 user system, 120 calls, and you can have obviously you can have either PCI cards inside it or a gateway to go with it as well. The whole idea of these appliances is based on number of users and number of concurrent calls. So if you have quite a busy environment, obviously you choose based on number of calls. But if you have like a 300 user system, then 120 concurrent calls, and that is outbound calls. That doesn't include inbound calls. Is that right, Simon? So 120 calls is actually outbound calls.
No, 120 means total calls in the system.
All right. Okay. So sorry, that's my bad. So 120 calls is total inbound and outbound calls, or internal calls including as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. And finally, then we have a UC1000. So if you have quite a big organization, or maybe having multiple sites, then you maybe put a couple of HAs, HA to 1000 in headquarters, and maybe some small UC10s or UC60s in branch offices just to give them high availability, backup, or resiliency at the same time. And that's about it really. That's product lineup. You can pick and choose which one you're looking for, and obviously the more higher you go, the more obviously the more powerful the system becomes. So in terms of support and training, so all these hardware, all these obviously PBXs are is supported internally. So ProVu will be your first line of support. So we will provide you the first line support. We have obviously dedicated engineers who have been trained on these systems. So if there's any problem, we can help you with that. If there's a bit more advanced problem which we can't resolve, then we do have obviously a backup, Sangoma backup, who can help us with sorting out the problem as well. Now, being a PBX, if you've not installed this PBX before, generally it is quite simple, straightforward to install, and as I said, that's the idea behind it, so that the web interface is quite simplified. But if you do want a pre-configuration or pre-installs help from so you provide us all the information that how you want to configure the system. We can help you with that as well. So we can program the overall system, including phones and everything, at ProVu, and then ship it directly to you or your customer, and then all you have to do is plug and play. And obviously on the day you may need some extra help assistance as well, and we can obviously help you to finish off for the pre-configuration. If you don't want obviously pre-configuration support from ProVu, for example, then we do have obviously Sangoma support as well, and Sangoma can help you with remote installation as well. All the hardware comes with obviously return to base 1 year warranty. But you can obviously purchase, if you do prefer to have advanced replacement service where Sangoma or ProVu will shift the replacement next day, or a couple of days depending on if we have them in stock or not. But generally it is next day. You can have that as optional add-on as well. But again, if you do require a bit more, replacements or better support, just do come to us and we will try and help you as much as we can. Training. We recently had a training held in near London for the PBX Xact system, which was quite, which I think it was quite nicely warmly received. The next training course, again, Sangoma will regularly run these courses. Now the training courses at the moment are run by Sangoma directly, so you get a bit more hands-on. The next course is will be held on 25th and 26th of January. Simon, is it going to be in London, around the London area? Do you know where it's going to be held by any chance?
Yeah, it's going to be south of London somewhere, near same place as last time, so it'll be near the M25.
Right. Okay, that's fantastic. So again, if you are obviously interested in joining the training course, you've got enough time anyways. But Sangoma or ProVu are offering early bird discounts, so you can probably get some discounts if you do join us early as well. Obviously, sales training is always available from either myself or from Simon or from Sangoma. So if you do need some more information, a bit more information about certain features, you please come back to either myself or Simon, and we will organize something for you. Now, with the training courses, it's a 2-day training course, but when you do pay for it, you do get out. Sangoma will provide you a UC10, a PBX, and a couple of phones. So it's a pretty much hands-on training. And when you do get out of the when you finish with the training, you will have a UC10 and the couple of phones to play with it as well. So basically, if you're paying towards sort of phones and you get sort of training, not exactly free of charge, but it's quite an economical training. But the whole idea is you get out and then do something for yourself once you've finished with training, and you can play with it. So I'm gonna pass you back to Simon. We're nearly finishing, guys, so please bear with us a couple of more minutes. So I'm gonna pass you back to Simon, who will introduce the reseller program offered by Sangoma. Over to you, Simon.
Yep, thank you. So we're here at Sangoma, we're on a bit of a reseller recruitment drive, right? So we want to build out a new reseller base for our PBXs and our phone families. We've built out a new channel program, and basically the process is that the reseller makes a small investment, and in return for that small investment, which is like £900, I think, we provide you with a kit of some phones, a PBX, a gateway, an SBC. So almost the entire ecosystem that we talked about very much at the beginning. So actually the fee, I think you get almost more hardware than the value of the fee, right? So it really is not that much of a barrier to entry.
Simon, it's on the next page, so the fee and all the bits on the next slide anyway.
Oh, okay, good one, thank you. Yeah, so once you've paid that fee, then you get to be listed on our website as a reseller. You get to use all of the correct logos to be a certified partner, and empowered by Sangoma logo you can see in the bottom right there. We will, in return, start distributing leads. So we're generating a phenomenal number of leads per week and per month. We can pass out those leads to our resellers. You of course get post and pre-sales technical support. You get not for resale units at vastly reduced cost, and you get access to our marketing program as well. So the whole kind of suite of benefits here. Yeah, here we go. So the application, as I said, there's a one-off fee. It's 800. ProVu have these kits in stock, I think, so that you can get them pretty immediately. You get a PBXact UC60 appliance, you get a Vega 50 FXS or BRI gateway, you get a mini SBC to go play with, and you get a selection of phones. So you can really build. This is great for a number of reasons, right? You can build a demo kit to go show customers. You can get your tech people trained up, your pre-support. You can test customer problems. You can help customers configure it. It's just, it's very important that you have this kit in your premises to make sure that you're fully familiar with the product. So yeah, please come talk to us. Come talk to Mo. Sign up on our Sangoma.com reseller application, and we will start dialogue with you and get you in the program.
That's great, Simon. Thank you very much. Right, so again, I think we're nearly finished now, so we'll be going through the question and answer sessions in shortly. So just to recap on what we have discussed today. Again, as Simon suggested, Sangoma will continue to invest in FreePBX. It's not going to just die tomorrow. It's there, and Sangoma will heavily invest and keep on working on developing FreePBX solution. Again, the idea is developing a choice, so you can either go for FreePBX or the PBXact system. PBXact system resonates well because it's a channel product, whereas the FreePBX is more like open source solution. Anyways, again, phones are tightly integrated with PBXact system, which means you plug them in, all the features, extra features and add-ons are all automatically activated for the phones, and it works quite well. PBXact system is aimed for quite a different market. It's not going to replace FreePBX. It is again channel product, so it will be provided, supplied through channel with support contracts with POs and everything. It is a fully featured UC system, which includes instant messaging, video, presence, desktop integration, and even obviously as we discussed, WebRTC, which is quite a nice solution. And finally, all it gives you is a single vendor solution. So if you are looking for something, a telephony, which is phones, gateways, telephony boards, SBCs, even SS7 gateways, there's only one place to go to get support. You don't have to, if you, let's for example, if you buy third-party phones with a PBXact system, you do have to go different places. But the whole idea is one supplier, one manufacturer, and then you get everything from there. And it works quite well with most of our resellers, because obviously there's only one place to go in that case. So that's about it, really. I'm sorry about the delay, with the technical glitch early with the webinar. I hope it was useful for you guys to join the webinar. Again, myself and Simon are obviously here. If you do need to contact us, if you do need some information, or maybe would like to try out the PBXact system, we can certainly try and help you with something as well. Again, we do have another webinar next Tuesday at 11 same time, which will cover mostly about the phone apps and what it can add for the end user. So if you do have any, if you would like to know a bit more about the phone apps, please join us next week as well, and we will try and obviously provide you as much information as we can. If you have any questions, obviously you can write. There's a chat box on the right hand side bottom corner, so you can write us any questions you may have. If you don't have any questions, obviously, or if it does come up at a later stage, feel free to email either myself or Simon, and we will be happy to help. So I'm just going to give a couple of minutes to see if there's any questions. So just bear with a second. Let me see if there's any questions. Yeah. So far there's no questions. I think we'll just leave it for now. Again, as I said, if you need any information, there is an actual question, so just bear with me 1 second. I'll try and answer. Is there a significant difference on the hardware of FreePBX and PBXact? Simon, would you like to answer the question?
Yeah, the hardware is very similar actually, Mo. Really, what the main difference is the level of support that you get on that hardware, right? So we, with FreePBX, you buy the hardware and the software kind of as is. With PBXact, you get an entirely warranted system. So we do a really rigorous QA from the hardware all the way up through all the application layers, right, for PBXact UC. And that allows us to provide the kind of professional grade warranties that you'd find with other manufacturers. So yeah, the difference is how the appliance is built together rather than the underlying hardware.
That's great, Simon. Thank you. The next question is about the recording of this webinar. So yes, the webinar is being recorded. We will share a recorded version of the webinar. Hopefully, we will receive an email later on this week with a link for recorded version and a slide deck as well. So you can obviously view that in your own time, and obviously you can come back to us questions. I think that's about it for today. Thank you very much for your time today. Hopefully I'll see you next week in the next webinar. But again, if you have any questions, please do come back to us with it, and then we'll try and answer as we can. Thank you very much. Thanks, Simon, for helping me out as well today. And I'll hope to speak to you next week. All right, cheers. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Bye.